September, here in October, back there, okay. So I called Pat to make sure. And asked him if I have plenty of time.
Is anyone calling in on that bid thing or no? Or,
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what this is.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So, yeah, I had a good time. It really was an old crowd though.
That's so funny.
It was so old. You didn't see anybody under 30. A lot of walkers and wheelchairs and canes.
The handicap seats went first.
Yeah, it was, the guys that were shoveling people in the wheelchairs
Were
were very
busy.
busy.
Including the band. Probably.
Oh, they did okay. They did okay, but we, I was, Steve did well.
Good. Did he, I mean, did it
Well,
get
it
to be
was-
long?
Well, you know, the seats, if we would have been in the first row,
Would've been
that would have
the
been the real deal for him. It didn't bother me, I'm short legs, but,
Yeah.
the thing for him, he goes next, if we ever go to another concert like that again, he said he needs to sit more straight on because
Oh.
of his neck.
To turn to the right, was it?
Yeah, for the whole thing, but, I mean, he
So-
lived, it was
Wow,
fine.
right. But is it, you know, that isn't a long court or whatever. right?
Oh, no,
You
it's
could
a
see
small,
pretty
intimate,
decent, right?
yeah, it's a small, intimate,
I was
place,
thinking
but
that should be pretty good.
my view was fine until this, hockey
Somebody fat
fan
running.
that was a huge man.
Turn front of it.
He looked like a pickle, like a extra large pickle. And he stood up, and no, you couldn't see anything. You couldn't see the screens on the side, which are showing, I mean, you could see nothing.
Should.
And so finally, I went over there and I said, you know, there are people behind you, and your husband's handicapped, he can't stand up and get his, well, the guy sitting right next to me is handicapped, and he seems just fine. I'm like, he's looking right at your car. Yeah.
That's,
I talked to him, I went up there twice, and he finally sat down. Even Henley goes, okay, we're gonna go into our mellow segment, so let's just all sit down.
all right, we're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Single, if you would do roll call, please.
Terry Engel here, Amy Erke. Yeah, I'm here. Rich Mueller,
I'm here.
Rich Mueller, here twice. Aaron Phillips.
I haven't heard from him.
No, Aaron was not able to
Not
attend.
able to attend,
Okay.
okay.
Lauren Shainrock,
Here.
Rick Schultz.
Here.
Pat Tyre. Here.
Thank you. We have an agenda in front of us. Are there any additions or corrections, Mr. Myhock?
No, there's not.
Entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Schoenrock, seconded by Mr. Mueller to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Assuming no public comments this evening, so we will move right into the superintendent's report, please.
All right, before I introduce Mr. Kopensky and Mr. Dupens with their presentations, Mr. Berg is absent and submitted some information, and as well as Macy, that
Good.
her information was on the slide but unable to attend. And my contribution or my report is just kind of an interesting FYI. You have a rather lengthy list of policies that we're reviewing this month and next month and last month, and one that's going to pop up again is policy 404, which is dealing with background checks. You know, that the concept of hiring and the use of background checks. We were lucky enough, and with some new legislation, that there's new requirements of a BCA audit. And again, we were lucky enough to be part of a BCA audit with this new legislation. Now, we don't use the Bureau and we don't fingerprint, but because we're kind of in their system, and it was, I think, 2019, we had utilized the system to check on a background check of some sort at that time. We got drawn to participate in this audit. So the audit and the requirements are very similar to what our policy 404 says. After this audit, because we don't use BCA any longer, we'll kind of be removed from their system of sorts. We use higher image for the background checks. But we do have to participate in this audit. So Sue is completing that and answering the information. And a lot of it is, do you share background information if someone has declined a job based on their background? And the obvious answer is no, you don't. And our policy covers all of that sort of things. But there's a few things in our policy that either aren't covered or aren't covered well enough. And so the BCA has kind of a supplemental policy that we're going to add as 404.1. And that will be coming up on the readings and whatnot. But in essence, it's a temporary policy because we should have it when we answer the questions on the audit. Do you do this, and do you have a written policy that states this? If we say yes, we really have to have that written policy. So this supplemental policy by BCA will cover all of those sorts of things. So kind of a unique thing, and it should be just a kind of a one-time deal. It won't hurt to keep that in our policy, but it's just, again, an addition or a supplement to it. So kind of interested in one of the things that lots of emails and phone calls, like, do we really have to do this? We don't use BCA, and the answer was yes, you really have to do it. And so that's all I have to report on.
Okay.
And then I will turn it over to elementary report, Mr. Podolsky.
Sue, you have a slideshow there under the superintendent? Give me something to go off of, because I'm getting a little long in the tooth, I don't remember things so well. Under it, yep. Well, I think I kind of memorized some of them here. Our first thing at the elementary, we did kind of a reboot of our PBIS program. We're not necessarily card-carrying members of positive behavior intervention systems and supports, but we are doing some positive behavior.
Just click on that, Sue.
Yep,
Just,
there you go, right there.
Click on the title. Oh.
Yeah. So, and I think the kids are kind of getting into that. It's only been our first full week with that, and they're volunteering to do things a little bit more and just kind of get some perks. We'll have our first drawing for awards on Wednesday, so we'll see how that goes. Second thing, we held conferences week. I talked a little bit about the change of format. I don't know the exact the data that supports if we saw more kids, but I think we did, because the teachers were now able to schedule, early mornings instead of going to 8 o'clock at night where some families can't. It doesn't leave opportunities for families to get seen, maybe their opportunity to be heard, or conference was at between 7 and 8 in the morning. So with this flexibility on multiple days and kind of Monday through Thursday or Monday through Friday, I think it was beneficial both to teachers. I know it offered some flexibility to teachers to, for example, attend the athletic banquet that was Tuesday night, where normally they had to take time off to go instead of being at conferences. So again, I think it was beneficial. I'll hopefully have more data next month, but I know there was a teacher meeting with a student yet this afternoon. So again, this trying to get 100% participation for families to conference with the teachers. So that was good. The next thing is kind of the big one of the building is the holiday concert, Monday, December 4. We did split our two concerts. So Bridges in kindergarten through second grade is starting at 6, and grades 3 through 5 is at 7:30. The biggest piece, we did it last year, but it was like 1 day notice because we weren't smart enough to think of or have this idea. now we have a month of putting this out there to families, that there will be a shuttle bus from Methodist Church here in Ellendale to the school, and we'll just shut it, so we're encouraging families to park at the church, jump on a bus, and get dropped off at the front door. So I'm hopeful that families take advantage of that. We only had about 20 people take advantage of it last year. I'm anticipating more. So again, another perk for some community members, and they can be anybody. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our Camp Panther lead teacher, Katie Knudsen, to talk about the program. And there are slides after that, Sue, too, so keep going down. You can stand here too.
I can stand
Yeah, the
here.
barricade is good.
Yeah, I like being behind something. I'm Katie, just in case some of you don't know. I'm here to talk about Camp Panther, just 100% to be proactive about it and to tell you about it. And if you have any questions, then I can answer them. So I asked Mr. Kopetsky if he thought this would be a good idea. He replied and said, yes, please come to a board meeting. And he gave me some bullet points, and I literally put them into a slideshow. These are his exact ideas that I should talk about. So here we go. The students that qualified, when you look up the definition of kids that can go to a targeted services program, they are meeting at least one of the graduation incentives criteria, and in this case for them, they're performing below performance level for pupils of their same age. Targeted services programs must support a cross-section of learners classified as at risk and cannot be heavily dominated by any categories such as special education or ESL. ELL, sorry. So we invited special ed students, MRC students, Title I students, and also SEL students. Did I say that? I can't remember if I did or not. Kids that see Miss Taryn or Miss Brooke, or also Miss Kathy. There are 5 of us teaching: Marcus, Mr. and Mrs. Fisher, Cassidy Williams, Sam Kluko, and myself. Sarah Myhock is required to assist in the nights that we use the oven to come. That's how we have to do it. She has to come and run the ovens for us. It's funded through Waseca's targeted services qualifications based on attendance. I think that Mr. Kopetsky added that because I don't remember saying that, but we receive dollars per student for a determined number of hours. I just want to share that the success of the program is because we have the right amount, because there are 5 of us. Kids that are in school for 8 hours and then they stay for another 2, you need appropriate amount of staff for that, especially with 60 kids. If it generates dollars, I can't really answer that. Groceries are expensive. I don't know if funding, if it even matches inflation right now, but I figured that it costs about $2 per kid per week. That's about what we're spending. So this quarter 1, we had 61 students attend, and quarter 2, I'm still getting permission forms back and still talking to parents, but we're at 41 as of right now. So we've been cooking. I don't know if anybody knows that, but we've been cooking, which was a really fantastic idea because in my mind I thought maybe 30 kids would come. I didn't think I'd be cooking with 60 kids. And that's a whole another deal there. We're doing some recipes that some parents wouldn't do with 2 kids at their own house, but we're doing it with 60. So the staff is, that's the success of the program. And planning and planning and planning and planning. I spend a lot of time planning. You can't run to Lerberg's when you have 60 kids waiting for a supply. So it's just a lot of time thinking right before I came, I was compiling 50 cookbooks for kids for this next time around. So it takes a lot of planning hours, but so far it's been fun. So I don't know if you have any questions. This is a game. It's required that within the program you have to have social emotional learning. And so we do like was called Iceberg. And it's all about teamwork. All of our games are to try to build relationships and teamwork and communication and things like that. And so it started out with that tablecloth that they're standing on was a full tablecloth. They were all on it, and then they had to take one step off and fold it in half and then get back on and then fold it in half again and get back on it and then fold it and then see how many times they could fold it and teamwork together to stay on it. So, yeah.
Katie, do you have curriculum that goes with that, or does your team all come up with these ideas?
I come up with the ideas. And then mostly I'm just 100% going off of what it says on the Minnesota Department of Education, just saying that it has to be SEL. And that's where cooking came in, I guess, is that, I don't know, it's rewarding. And I thought in my mind, they're going to be starving. How am I going to keep them here for 2 hours with them starving? And so that's kind of how the cooking came in to play. And so we also we kind of rotate between the room next to the library here and the library and then the cafeteria, and we play a challenge or a social emotional learning game. We cook. There's rocket math, that's part of it. They have to journal about what we made. And then board games. So
Yeah, because if I remember right, you're not allowed to do just
it
add on to what's going on in the classroom.
Okay.
It has to
Correct. It
be-
cannot be homework help. It cannot
Right.
be an extension of the school day.
Yeah.
So,
Great job.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, it's
That's
really
wonderful.
interesting.
yeah.
Is your objective to graduate students out of the program, or, I mean, is there a point of where they get to, okay, we've served our purpose, or will you, but obviously this is the first year, so
Right.
I would assume.
I'm learning as I go.
Sure,
It was hard enough to just find a go-to person. I think I have a go-to person to
Sure.
answer my questions. A lot of times he'll just send me pages from the MDE site, and I'm thinking, thank you. I just need you to interpret this for me. But
right,
I'm learning as I go. So if they received services first quarter or at any time during the school year, they'll remain invited to the program.
okay,
That's how we do summer school too. If we
Sure.
don't have this after school program during the school year, we don't have summer school.
okay.
So
No,
generating dollars, I don't know, but I mean, from the parents' perspective and, you know, community, hopefully, we're doing things to, you know, an after-school program is good for the kids.
exactly.
I'll throw my opinion out there, which I don't like to do. I think it's necessary to have after-school programs and summer school. So
Do you have any stories of something that's been real successful for you, or seeing a student just blossom a little bit because of the program?
I have parents the second quarter, instead of doing all the paperwork of sending home a form for all the parents to fill out, if they already did this paperwork first quarter, then I just emailed them and got consent that way. And a lot of them are just kind of praising the program, saying our kids are helping more at home, cooking, and they're not afraid to, you know, chop something up for me, or that's probably a really bad idea. Erase the last 10 seconds of your life. But just help more and not afraid to try foods. We have kids trying avocados and they never would have
Right.
ever tried that before. You know, just little things like that. But yeah. It looks like they're having fun. We're having fun, I think, but you
That
know.
was my next question too. How are the kids receiving it? I mean, do they look at it as, it obviously sounds like you've promoted it enough to being a fun, energetic, and I'm sure it's a game of percentages, but they look happy, like
Yeah.
you're, so I would hope that the majority are there willingly, kind of almost looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't, it's an invite, they don't have to come, you know,
Okay.
it's just,
Good,
if they are receiving any of those services, they got
they
invited.
have the offer, all right.
Mhm.
But they're having fun,
Yeah,
and
Mhm.
they're learning from the fun they're having,
Right.
so
it's a good thing.
it's a no-brainer.
Mhm.
Play to learn,
Yep.
so that's a good program. Good job.
Yeah.
Why don't you come back again sometime and give us an update?
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to say that I would love to, but I don't like talking in front of adults, that's why I'm a teacher, so, no, I will, I can do that, I can do that.
Thanks,
Thank
Kate.
Yeah,
you.
thanks.
All right.
And then we'll move on to Mr. Tupens.
The last couple of weeks, I have been collecting, oh, you went too far, data for the world's best workforce. I'll try to remember. Because the report for what happened in 22-23 is due to the state by December 15th. So that's really what I've been working on quite a bit lately. I'll be presenting that later for agenda item number 9. We had a staff development day on November 7th. Well received. We haven't done our official 30-day feedback form to the teachers to see what they thought, but based on everything I saw informally, people enjoyed it. We had a speaker in the morning, and they felt like that was a great pick-me-up and motivational. And then in the afternoon, we had multiple different options for things depending on what the different needs of different buildings were. So people felt like it was purposeful because it was tailored to what they needed or what we needed to give them. So that was a success. And then, what's the last thing on that list?
Curriculum.
Oh, and then I started the curriculum inventory of what everybody is using in the district, and I am mostly nearly done with that. And so my next step is looking at, like, we have a bunch of stuff that is expiring this year, and do we need to renew those online licensures? Do we need to actually review the curriculum itself and get new curriculum? And so that's the next step for where I'm at with that. But that's a lot of my time.
It's a lot of work.
Any questions?
The world's best workforce piece of your,
Yes.
are you comfortable with how that's coming into completion, I guess?
Yeah. So and we'll talk about how this year looks and then
Okay.
how next year looks. I feel better about how next year is going to look.
Okay.
I feel fine about all of it. But like I am optimistic. I think it'll really be a helpful tool for us.
Good.
Because I already had a couple volunteers to join my committee, and so I feel like we're really going to get a lot of
Good.
information on that and focus on where we're going with that.
Good.
I think it'll be a good roadmap.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
All right. Is that complete our
That is-
administrative reports?
Completes the report.
Appreciate that. Do we have any board member comments this evening?
I would just like to say that I attended the National Honor Society ceremony last Wednesday, and it was a tremendous event. I mean, the kids did a really good job. Very impressed with them, their work.
Good. Thank you for that, Rich. Any others? Truth and Taxation will be ahead of next month's regularly scheduled meeting, and that will be in the secondary. That is Monday, December 18th, 2023, at the Secondary Media Center. Truth and Taxation will start at 6. followed by our regularly scheduled board meeting, so. And then, seems like it should be a long ways away, but the organizational meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, January 2nd at the Secondary Media Center. That will be a 5:30 start time, so. With that, it moves us into our consent agenda, and I would appreciate Mr. Mayak introducing that, please.
I will do that. The board has been furnished with background materials on each item, or we have discussed these items at previous meetings. These will be acted upon with one vote without discussion, and if a board member wants to discuss any item, we can pull it out of the consent agenda and we'll vote on it separately. We have a long list of donations totaling almost $14,000 that we'd like to recognize here first, so I'll do that. We have a $150 donation from Randy and Sherry Schott for the elementary lunch and snack program. 3M Corporation donated 40 pairs of safety glasses to our secondary industrial arts program. 10,000 Designs out of Ellendale here gave us some discounted rates for our DECA apparel, totaling about $100. We have Manawan Grain and Routh family making donations to our FFA corn drive. Manawan Grains donated $5,057.23, and the Routh family of $250. BASF Corp donated $1,000 for our National FFA Convention. The Lions Club of Ellendale, appreciate their $250 donation for our elementary snack cart. And then we have the Freeborn County Co-op Oil, donating $500 for our secondary quarterly celebration. The Waseca Area Foundation has a $500 donation for our secondary media center to purchase new books. We have a $3,000 donation from the Waseca Area Foundation for secondary scholarships, and then a $2,500 donation, again from Waseca Area Foundation for our community ed program. And then Keene Bank had a $500 donation for our library and media book purchase. So all total, we had over $13,807.23 of donations this past month, bringing our total to $38,508.91 for the year. And then before you approve the consent agenda, I'd just like to make a note again on public record that in the October 16th meetings that you're approving, just note that the vote, it was on our recommendation for our electrical contract, was a 3-3 tie, which is a failed vote. The minutes show a 3-2 vote, so a typo, or it should be listed as a 3-3 failed vote. So when you're approving that, Sue will make that correction and that will be shown accurately. So with that, I'd ask for your approval on the consent agenda as it is presented.
Motion to approve the consent agenda items with the correction in October minutes.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Erke, seconded by Ms. Tyre to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Touched on this a little earlier, but the 22-23 World's Best Workforce Summary Report. Mr. Tupins, welcome back.
Hey, thanks. There's no memorizing this one. You got a copy of this, and a copy will go online tomorrow on the website. And so I'm not going to read 100% of what's on here, but we will go through the entire thing. Go to the next slide. There are 5 categories the state wants us to make our improvements based on, make our goals based off of these 5 things. And that's that all children are ready to start kindergarten, all 3rd grade students can read at grade level, all achievement gaps between students are closed, all students are ready for career and or post-secondary education, and all students graduate from high school. So I will go through, one more back. I'll go through each individual goal and how we did last year based on the goal that we made. So all children ready for kindergarten by 2022 and continuing annually thereafter, 80% of our students within our district borders will attend preschool here with us. Right now, last year we were at 73%, so an improvement from 21-22, but not quite at that 80% level. Reading by third grade, we wanted to be above MCA reading standards. At third grade MCA reading, we are below. We're at 37.5%. The state standard is at 48%. We actually got above them there once, 21-22. This is going to completely change because we're going with the READ Act. We're on our way up. So the READ Act has very outlined steps as to how to improve those scores for K-5. So we will be seeing an improvement on those soon. Achievement Gap has 3 different goals: an elementary goal, a secondary goal, and then an overall goal. This is that elementary K-5 overall would improve their reading level in the Fountain-Centinel reading levels by 1 grade level. From wherever they were at, there would be an improvement to the next grade level up. We wanted that to be 80% of the students that increased. We got 73.1% of the students that increased to grade level, which is an improvement from the year before. Secondary, we wanted to decrease the number of failing grades. We achieved this very well at the 9-12 level. We did not achieve this at the 6 through 8 level. So our numbers increased for failing grades, but in a very specific area. So this is something we will be looking at as an administration to see what we can do to help bring those down. And then all students is the gap between reading scores and math scores for free and reduced lunch, students receiving free and reduced lunch, and then the math and reading scores for students receiving special ed services. And those, we met this goal. Our gap is hugely smaller than the state gap. And not only that, for this one, and you'll see the next one, our free and reduced students, our students getting free and reduced, who qualify for free and reduced, actually got higher scores overall than the state did. And then same thing for the students receiving sped services, they got higher scores than at the state level, and our gap is smaller than theirs. College Ready, the Minnesota Career Information Systems has a bunch of activities in it. We started implementing this in. We want to increase that. The goal was by the end of 2024, we have 100% participation. Last year, we were at 60%. And then I think it's one more back. I think you double. And then all students graduating for high school, we look at the 4-year graduation average and the 7-year graduation average. Our graduation rate is higher than the state's 4-year graduation rate. So we met that. And then our rate is higher at the 7-year as well, but we set the goal at 97%, so we're not quite at that 97%. And now we look at what we're going to do this year. All the same 5 standards, because that's what it's been since 2013. All of the goals that were created last year, were set in a terminology that they would be ongoing, or that they ended in 2024. So with the exception of one goal, we're just going to keep them the same since time, like that's how the goals were written. We just carry those through. The one change that we do have to make is goal 4. They made a change in the program. It's no longer the MCIS program. This year they implemented a program called Major Clarity. It's the same type of program, and so we just need to change the wording on that. So when we go forward, it'll be the same goals and the same action steps that we're doing to reach those goals. And we can just get to the next one all the way through to number 4. We're just changing the wording on this one to 100% of the 12th grade students are going to be using Major Clarity instead of MCIS. And then one more, same goal for number 5. And then, going forward, we're going to meet early January, possibly February, but I'd like to meet in January, to really start planning what those, since all those goals kind of end, Some of them say they're ending in 2024. Some of them are using goals from Fontes and Pinnell. Fontes and Pinnell with the READ Act is something that is going to be going away, so we can't use that as a measurement anymore. And so a lot of changes are happening in the statutes and in the goals ending. So we're going to probably have to rewrite 4 out of 5 of those goals. So we're going to meet in January, get feedback from teachers, get feedback from parents, get feedback from as many people as we can, and say, how do we meet those 5 goals now? We really look at what can we measure, where do we want to be, and how can we make it successful so we can meet those goals. So if we do that early in January, that'll really, and start that process in January, that'll really give us a roadmap for the following fall in the staff development committee and all of those things to create kind of an idea of where we're headed and have that in the back of our mind with all the things we're doing. Like, are we doing this? Does it meet with one of our 5 goals? We want to make sure we're keeping those always in mind. So, any questions on that?
Something you said about the the elementary, you get some, I don't know if it's curriculum or something from the state that's gonna help with the reading, what was that called?
Well, the READ Act
The READ Act?
is, so we're gonna have to change our screener, like, the first thing that comes in is we're gonna have to change our screener. We
To fast.
use
Star.
Star right now. We have to use Dibbles or Fastbridge, like the state says, pick one of these 2. With the curriculum, in January, the state is gonna say, here are 5 choices. You have to use one of these 5 choices. And all of those things, and this is something I have a sneaking suspicion I will give a presentation on the READ Act in the next couple of months. But there's staff development involved for every teacher that is even tangentially involved with teaching reading.
Is that for this middle school and secondary as well?
Eventually, middle school, that's like a 2027 sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
But it's a long-term goal. For next year, the first change that happens is we'll be going to Fastbridge or Dibbles
Okay.
and training K through 3 teachers on the science of reading.
Keep your eye on that one too when legislation comes around again, that this is a hefty price tag, that it's advertised as a fully funded mandate. And so the state does pay for membership, registration.
They pay for the registration fees for the staff development, but they won't reimburse us for any stipends or substitute teachers or things like that to cover those hours that they need to do it.
So each of those programs requires between 40 and 140
Yep.
hours of time to complete the training, and that will be at
Our
the district's expenses, yeah. So when we're talking
That's a lot of money.
30 staff members the first time around, each putting in, let's say, even 40 hours, some simple math says that's probably $30,000 to $40,000 to $50,000 without state funding attached to it. So it's fully funded.
Yeah, fully funded.
Fully funded.
This part's fully funded.
Well, and they also say fully funded in a couple lines down, say until we run out of money.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember. It's like, okay.
So, there is some conversation, maybe it's wishful thinking conversation, that this next time around they'll add some funds
Yeah.
for this sort of thing, but Jason and Macy worked on a READ Act literacy grant, and we didn't qualify. It was a competitive grant through the state, but districts are connecting some dots saying, ooh, this has a price tag.
Jason, I understand that everybody needs to set goals, but sometimes are we forcing the teachers to teach to the goals, and maybe we're missing the main part of education? Are we leaving that out because we're focusing on this is our goal?
I don't think so, because these are pretty, those 5 categories are pretty broad, and it's not saying these are the only things we're gonna do. We just have to make sure that those are things we wanna
That's
include.
part of
So
it.
I don't think that would be the case for us.
Okay. Sometimes that's a concern of mine when we get mandates from the state, is, okay, this is what we gotta do, we're gonna sidetrack a little bit, and in the meantime, we lose a little bit.
And let me say that about the REACT, and I've said this to multiple people before. It is the right thing to do. Like, it is, like, there is research behind what they're asking us to do. It's a struggle to implement it. We're all trying to figure out how to do it, the timeline to make it work. But the science behind what they're asking us to do is solid. It's been researched. It's been effective in other states. And so I am excited about the actual change that's happening. It's just kind of the getting there that gets tricky.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you for your work. It's exciting to see the progress. All right, we are happy to have before us this evening the paraprofessional master agreement for 23 through 25. Mr. Mayak, please.
Just an appreciation for the para union and the negotiation team for their work putting this together. And my recommendation is that the board, I ask the board to approve the paraprofessional contract that was provided.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mueller, seconded by Mr. Schoenrock to approve the paraprofessional master agreement 23 through 25 as presented. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution, kind of probably a technicality of the timing of the year, but a resolution to combine polling places, Mr. Maya?
Absolutely correct, and more of a statutory requirement or a requirement from the state that the board would act on this resolution to combine the polling places. So I would ask for your approval on recommending combining the polling places as stated.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Engel, seconded by Ms. Herkey to approve the resolution to combine polling places as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Board goals and superintendent goals, Mr. Maddock, please.
Yeah, it's part of our last couple discussions that we've had with your goals as a board, and then my goals as a superintendent was to include some academic goals, and again, conversation and some research on that. In the document that was provided, there is some additional academic goals under one of the different categories. And so rather than the specifics that we've also kind of talked about, not listing specifics as far as proficiency rates and whatnot, there's 3 additional goals that pertain to academic success in my leadership with our administrative team that obviously trickles down to the students. And so my request to you is to approve the goals for you, the board, and for me as a superintendent, as they're stated and outlined in the document.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Ms. Tyre, seconded by Ms. Engel to approve the board goals and superintendent goals for 23-24 as presented. Is there any further discussion? If I might just add that I appreciate Mr. Mayak adjusting those and keeping those current.
Yeah.
You know, that has been a little bit of a work in progress over the last few months, but I think that is a good reminder for not only our superintendent, but us as board members. We've kind of moved on from some of the other ones that were of years past, so appreciate being sincere about that and adjusting it to the needs of the district. So thank you for the people involved in making that effort. With that, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're happy to have before us this evening an acceptable bid for the electrical contractor. Mr. Mayak, please.
And I will introduce Rusty Ray, our representative from Site Logic and part of the process, our manager, our management team that is helping us walk through this. And obviously a large part of the bid opening and the bid postings and whatnot. And so Rusty, I'd turn it over to you if you had any comments to add before the board votes.
Sure. I'll just recap for everyone. We had the electrical rebid opening on the 16th. They were opened and read out loud publicly. We had 3 contractors turn in numbers. They were Albert Lee Electrical, Lake Town, and Paul's Electric. For both the elementary school and the secondary school, Albert Lee Electrical is the low bidder, and it is Site Logic's recommendation to award Albert Lee Electrical the electrical work package for the 2024 construction project. That's all I have, and if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
And my recommendation would be to follow the recommendation of Site Logic and approve, and I guess the Buildings and Grounds Committee as well, as they were part of this process as well. So the recommendation to approve accepting the Albert Lee Electric as the electrical contractor for our upcoming projects.
For those of you that are keeping track, I believe the bid was just a touch over 810,000 for both facilities. So for those of you that are paying attention to where those numbers were and what we're approving here tonight, which is acceptable to us as a Buildings and Grounds Committee too. We're pleased with those numbers. So
I'll move to accept the recommendation of Site Logic for electrical contractors being overly
Second.
electrical.
motion made by Mr. Schoenrock, seconded by Ms. Engel to approve the bid for electrical contractor as in Albert Lee Electric for what is presented. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, appreciate you waiting and being part of this and supporting the decision and obviously providing your leadership on that as well.
Thank you. I'm happy to be a part of it, and I appreciate it.
Very good, Rusty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
And the moment we've all been waiting for, the first reading of policies.
Yeah, and I've asked the board members to recite these policies.
Right after the superintendent.
And obviously part of the process of approving the different policies and this, Sue and I have been working on this probably since May, June, and the number of different policies that we have every year has required updates, and with the new legislation that passed this last year, there was a number of additional updates that were needed. So you have a list of, what is it, about 10 or 12 different policies with some notes, and some additional notes have been provided in the newsletter on those as well. So the step for this is, again, these policies will go through 2 readings. This is the first reading with some information. I'll ask for your approval of these policies, all the policies listed for the first reading, and then as a reminder, that gives you some time over the next month to kind of digest, look into these, research, and if you have any questions, to notify myself or Sue, and we can provide some additional information. And then in December, we'll come back and ask for your final approval on the second reading of these policies. So again, my recommendation is to approve all policies listed in the first reading, with the understanding that they will have final second reading approval at our December meeting.
Someone care to make the motion to approve the first reading, please?
Motion to approve the first reading.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Erke, seconded by Mr. Mueller to approve the first reading of board policies as presented. Is there any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Brings us to the conclusion of the meeting tonight, and at this time I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Mr. Schoenrock, seconded by Ms. Erke to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.